What's going on, horror lovers? HorrorWithHoss come back to you with another video. This is going to be my video for Multi-Pack Mania. And this week we're doing 12 packs. So the one I chose is a newer one that I've gotten. I haven't showed this in my collection yet, but it is the 12 movie collection of Bloodsuckers. So all of these, I believe, are supposed to be vampire related. We use the random number generator and see what movie we're going to be watching. All right, so here's the multi-pack. I've entered the number here, 12 movies. Let's see what one we're going to be watching. Number 4. And on the back here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Be watching Immortal from 1995. So as you saw there, the movie I'll be reviewing for you today is Immortal from 1995. This movie was written and directed by Walter Michael Boast, or was filmed primarily in North Carolina, different parts of North Carolina, and also in Atlanta, Georgia. This movie is set around music, and music's a big theme in this. There are quite a few bands that are shown in this movie that are from the Chapel Hill, North Carolina area. And the main character, Dex Draggs, played by Andrew Taylor, is also a musician. He's part of a music group. They look like they're either like a type of grunge or alternative, probably alternative music group. So he's in this band. He gives guitar lessons on the side. And he is a vampire. We're never told exactly how he became a vampire. We just know that he is one. We also learn throughout the course of this movie that Dex doesn't really want to be a vampire, and he actually feels a little bit bad about what he's doing when he's killing these people, which he has multiple victims throughout this movie. And all the while he's doing this and having his music career, he's also trying to have a relationship with this character, Linda, played by Edith Shaw, even though she's credited as Meredith Lee Souse, who no one knows about this secret except for a friend of his by the name of Mike, who's played by a guy named Mike Shaw. Of course, he's trying to tell him, hey, you've got to get this under control. By that I mean they kind of treat this vampirism in this movie as a type of addiction, or treat it basically like if you were hooked on cocaine or heroin or something like that. So as I said, he doesn't like that he's a vampire, that he's doing these things, but he is getting the abilities of not being able to be killed and by normal means, and regenerative properties, things like that. So there's certain rules, I guess, of vampires that they follow, but then there's also rules that they don't follow. So it was kind of confusing in a way compared to other vampire movies I've seen. Anyhow, he ends up, he has this pocket watch that he's got, and it has the initials WW scratched into the inside of this pocket watch. And he ends up finding out through a newspaper clipping, there was a train wreck many years prior when he was a little child, and the only survivor was a person by the name of Wiley Resting, who is played by Frank J. Ard. So he decides he's going to go try to look up this Wiley Resting and talk with him, because basically he ends up finding out that he also was a vampire, or is a vampire, or at least was at one point. Yeah, this visit he has with Wiley is really odd, and Wiley kind of tells him that it's something that can be beaten. It's not like again, it's not really going by the normal rules of vampires, but he basically says that you can resist the temptation long enough that it'll go away. Yeah, that part really didn't make sense to me either. But again, this is a different take, I guess, on the vampire idea in this movie. So when he goes back after visiting Wiley, he's basically going through a time of detox, and he's having to have help from his friend Mike, and also from Linda. I won't give away the ending of this, but let's just say that it was a little underwhelming. This movie is right at about an hour and 35 minutes. And it's the video, or at least in this presentation, is not very good. It's very grainy in spots, and the sound is kind of off. Like some moments it'll be really low, so you crank your volume up, and then it will blare you out because there's another scene where there's music taking place. And there's just a lot of jumping around this movie, and then they even try to show some flashback sequences, but those aren't really explained either. So, but I guess the part of having the music and the whole 90s vibe, that was coming across in there. So that part I would say is at least enjoyable. I wasn't familiar with a lot of these groups that were in the movie, except for one I'd heard of, the Squirrel Nut Zippers. I'd heard that name before. But some of these other groups I had not heard of, but you may have. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the review. Overall, as a vampire movie, it's a lot different than any I've ever seen. So yeah, I would say, it's worth a watch for that, but I would probably never watch this movie again. It was kind of towards the end, I was kind of wondering when it was going to be over. So it was not the best, but you could tell that the people who put this movie together, that they put a lot of heart and effort into it. And, the effects and the blood, I guess the gore, a little bit of gore that was in it, most of the kills take place off camera. It's implied violence. But you could tell they did what best they could with such a small budget. I hope you all enjoy this review. If you like this review, give me a thumbs up. If you really liked it, consider subscribing. If you haven't already, click the notification bell. That way you'll know every time I upload a new video. I hope all of you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.